Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Reynolds with B.O.R.E.D, Better Off Reading Every Day. Today's book is My Uncle is a Hunkle, says Clarice Bean. This book is by Lauren Child. My Uncle is a Hunkle, says Clarice Bean. My uncle is a hunkle. He says things like, "Gotcha, baby," and "Eat dirt, dingbat." He watches too many films. He's a fireman, so he wears special trousers. He's always rescuing people from tall, toppling buildings, which are going up in a cloud of smoke. He can have you in a fireman's lift before you can say, "Uncle Ted, put me down." He said he has had plenty of close shaves, which is funny because he has a beard. Mom says me and Uncle Ted get on like a house on fire. My uncle is a hunkle, says Clarice Bean. We got a phone call at 5:15 in the morning. It turns out Uncle Ernie slipped on a donut getting out of his squad car. He's a policeman in New York City, so he's used to life's ups and downs. The nurse said, "Would Mom nip out there on the double cause because he's lying flat on his back with both legs in the air?" Mom says, "What was he thinking eating donuts at this time? Like this anything?" It turns out Uncle Ernie slipped on a donut getting out of his squad car. He's a policeman, New York City, so he's used to life's ups and downs. The nurse says, "Would Mom nip out there on the double? Because he's lying flat on his back with both legs in the air." Mom says, "What was he thinking of eating donuts at a time like this anyway?" But of course, she has to go. Someone will have to babysit because Dad is also about to go away on important business. Marcy, my big sister, says, "I would rather look after Newts from Neptune than be left with Clarice Bean, me, and Minimal Cricket, my little brother." Kurt, my big sister, says, "Don't look at me. I'm going to my room and probably won't be down for supper." Minimal says, "What about Granddad?" Granddad says, "I haven't had a donut since I was a boy." Mom rings round all her friends for a babysitter. Then she rings round all her friends' friends, but everybody says they are busy. Dad says, "Who can blame them? I'll be with you in take 2 shakes, Bernard." I say, "How about Uncle Ted?" Mom goes a bit pale. Uncle Ted is Mom's younger brother. When Uncle Ted fancies a break from firefighting and cats up trees, he comes around our house. Whenever he's around, it gets really noisy. "Get off your horse and drink your milk." Uncle Ted and I love to watch westerns on the edge of our seats with a plate of egg and beans perched on our laps. Uncle Ted is teaching me cowboy techniques. Last week, he lassoed the lamp. Mom says, I'd rather have everything in one piece, thank you very much. Uncle Ted looks sheepish. I lassoed my brother. He wasn't too happy either. So you can see why Mom is nervous about leaving Uncle Ted in charge. But it turns out she can't be so choosy. Mom gives Uncle Ted some very strict instructions. No breakages. No lassoing. Don't drive Mrs. Stampney at number 9 Doolally. Don't let Marcy take the phone into her bedroom. Chat, 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 chat. Make sure Kurt sees the daylight at least once every 24 hours. Keep an eye on Granddad. He tends to wander off. Uncle Ted says, yes, ma'am, I hear you loud and clear. Everything goes really well for the first 2 days. Nobody is arguing, and we are like one of those families on your television who always says things like please and thank you and sorry. Well done. Have nice. It's your turn. That's swell. No problem. I spy with my little eye. And they let people share their things without grumbling. Kurt even sits in the garden and almost nearly gets a tan. He never normally goes outside. He says it's too bright, but then Minimal ruins everything by getting Albert out of his hutch without asking. I am the one looking after him for the holidays. Albert is the school guinea pig, so it's a very responsible job. Albert makes the dash for it. I am beside myself because I know he will never be seen again. Minimal and I are racing round the kitchen table. Minimal is squealing and I am trying to flip his nose with a carrot. Lots of things get broken. Drop the carrot, little lady. Luckily for Minimal Cricket, Uncle Ted comes to the rescue. To take my mind off the worry of losing a guinea pig, we all go outside and play football. And it works because Uncle Ted kicks the football so hard that it knocks Minimal out. We have to drive to the emergency room. Hang on to your trousers. At 50 miles an hour at least. Minimal is fine, but they give him an x-ray and a little carton of orange juice. Minimal loves it because he can show off and lie under a blanket whimpering. I say he should have stitches, but unfortunately the nurse does not agree. When we go home, we find Granddad missing. Uncle Ted phones around all the neighbors and is about to dial 999 when Miss Stampley at number 9 calls to say she has found Granddad sitting in her sitting room, watching the racing. She's quite grumpy about it. Granddad says, all the houses look the same. It's a job to tell them apart without my glasses. But I know it's really because Mrs. Stampley got a bigger television set than us and it's got a remote control. Uncle Ted said, how in tarnation did you end up here? I'm still worried to pieces about Albert, so I go into the garden to see if he has come back for his hutch. I had put a carrot there to tempt him back, but It is still unnibbled. The next thing I know, Robert Granger, the boy next door, pops over the wall. He says, "Do you want to stroke my guinea pig?" I say, "That's not your guinea pig. That's Albert," he says. "It's not Albert. She's Belinda." I say, "You better give him back, Robert Granger. That's school property and you will be in big trouble with the police." Robert Granger is so nervous he lets Albert wiggle out of his hands. Albert is scuttering through the house. Uncle Ted shouts after him, and out of the front door. We are madly chasing the loose guinea pig who is charging through the railings. Minimal squeezes past him and gets wedged like a giant squealing tomato. I say, lucky you are here, Uncle Ted, because you will have him rescued in the next to no time. Rescuing people from railings is normal for Uncle Ted, and he doesn't look a bit bothered. Uncle Ted says, "Hang in there, buddy," and he scoots off to call his friends at the fire station. But it takes him ages to find the phone. Chat, 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 chat. So anyway, I said chat, chat, chat. And then I guess what he said, chat, 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 chat. In the meantime, Mom arrives back from the airport. She delves straight into her bag for her new bottle of bubble bath and runs it on Minimal's head. And rubs it on Minimal's head. She squeegees him out in almost less than 2 seconds. She says, "I wouldn't mind a quiet cup of tea in the garden," but then guess what happens? Nearly all the whole fire brigade turns up. Mom doesn't even look one bit surprised. She just looks at Uncle Ted. "Minimal already rescued?" Uncle Ted says, "Don't blame me. Blame that guinea pig Albert." "Belinda." It turns out Uncle Ernie is feeling quite chipper now, but he doesn't think he will ever be able to look at a donut again. He says, "Mine's a double cheeseburger with fries and a banana milkshake to go." And as for Uncle Ted, he says, "Babysitting is the hardest job I've ever done." I say, "Harder than firefighting?" Uncle Ted says, "You better believe it, baby." Albert finally found 9.5 hours later. My uncle is a Hunkle. Mom says, Mom says we get on like a house on fire. The end, boys and girls, of My Uncle is a Hunkle, says Clarice Brown. Boys and girls, I chose this book because, as you can see, only the best brothers get promoted to uncles. And that's exactly how I feel. I have 2 fabulous brothers. I was lucky enough to have 2 brothers in my life. One of my brothers I came to America with. That's my older brother. He's like the brother who protects you, the brother who sees you through everything, teaches you, always looks out for you, makes you laugh. You can tell him anything. He's always there for you. And when I had my daughter, my brother, like no other, has always been there for me. He showed up to every single thing as my daughter was growing up, to the point where people actually thought he was her father, because he never missed anything. Recitals, graduations, plays, games, meets, you name it, he would be there. That would be my older brother. So he definitely got promoted to uncle in no time, and he has always done a fabulous job of it. He puts a lot of uncles to shame, but he sets the bar very, very high. And I chose this book because I wanted to say thank you to my brother. I don't always say am able to say thank you to him because we're not a mushy gushy group like that. We're just brother and sister just hanging out and getting along that came here from Jamaica when I was 10 and he was 11. So we are not like lovey-dovey or anything like that. But I just wanted to say thank you to my brother, and I wanted to take this opportunity to do it because he has been not only been an outstanding brother all through my life, he has also been an outstanding uncle, looking out for my daughter and treating her so well and showing her what it is to have positive and supportive feedback in her life. And I absolutely love that about him. So thank you so much to my brother, Chris. This book is dedicated to you as one of the best uncles out there. Boys and girls, it is Miss Reynolds with B.O.R.E.D, Better Off Reading Every Day. And I hope you have an uncle in your life that you love just as much as I love my brother. And if you do, I hope that you get a chance to tell them how much they mean to you. Just go up to them and say, you're my uncle and I absolutely love you. You're one of the best things that has ever happened to me. And thank you so much for being an awesome Hunkle. Or as the book says, Hunkle. Cute, right? Boys and girls, Miss Reynolds, B.O.R.E.D, Better Off Reading Every Day. Show some uncle love today. They don't always get it, and they need to know it. We love you all, the uncles out there. You're awesome.